All right, now let's catch up with what people make of that advocacy extension of the compulsory retirement age for public servants from 60 to 65. Manuel Cranting is at the University of Ghana, Legon. Over to you, Manuel.
Great. So, Mama V, that is exactly the conversation that has been going on here at the University of Ghana, at least with the folks who are here with me in the past couple of minutes. And essentially in reaction to that, proposal by the Honorable Mama Ayariga, who wants the mandatory retirement age to be moved up from 60 to 65. He cites reasons such as, tapping the rich expertise of the workforce before we allow them to go into retirement, and again giving them space to be able to accumulate enough resources without having to necessarily put a strain on the pension fund. But I mean, what are the reactions? And that's why we're here. Michael, Vanessa are here. They're students of the University of Ghana. This is actually a graduate student who studies soil science, and this has implications for him directly. He wants to be an academic, and you remember, Mama V, that in some time past there was a directive that came from the Ministry of Education for all universities to move lecturers who were beyond 60 years from their payroll, so that universities themselves could put them on contract and then pay them. That was fiercely resisted. What are the reactions to that? Let me start with you're grateful that you could speak to us. I mean, you've heard the Honorable Mama Ayariga. He says that, we are not tapping enough of the human resource that we are building. By 60 years, they might have just been blossoming in terms of their expertise, and we ask them to go home. You agree?
Thank you very much. For me, I don't agree totally with him, because if you are saying that by 60 they have accumulated enough, and you want the youth to tap the knowledge from them before they go at 65, you could attach the youth to them by 55 or 50 years, so that the youth can learn from them. Considering the fact that now the unemployment rate is growing in the country. So we don't want to create a situation where there will be uprising, youth uprising, because there are no jobs for the youth to do. So I think that that proposal should be rethink through again, because the expertise can still be tapped by 55, 50 years, so that by 60, we can allow the old ones to go and rest, not to go and waste, just go and rest, so that they can live a bit longer for us.
Now, let me speak to Julius. Julius, Mama Ayariga makes the point that, I mean, by 60 years, some people are actually still very strong to be able to, continue working. But we ask them to go home, and then they are moved away from the payroll onto the pensions fund. And that's a pressure on the fund. And they are not even able to, earn as much as they were earning when they were in active service. That's supposed to be a good reason, no?
It doesn't seem like a good reason to me. How about the high number of students who are being churned out every day into the graduate category and don't have any jobs to do? Recently, Mr. Mama Ayariga, sponsored a private member bill to have school fees taken off for students. I don't think Mr. Mama Ayariga expects that these students come out and then job spaces that would have been available for them are still occupied by gray-haired people. We shouldn't have that situation in the country where the youth become very frustrated. In the recent voter register, you realize the youth were almost the greatest percentage, almost half of the entire number. And then that is where the unemployment is. The parliament already has power to create special offices, and they've been abusing it. In the case of special prosecutor, someone who is over 60, the court ruled in favor of him holding the office, which means they can just be creating offices and name them special and then put gray-haired people over there. They are abusing it. Article 70 appointees are there. Over 60, 70. That's what they stay in office with. And now we want to move that same thing to the public service where people could stay to up to 65 and all that. How about the students who are coming?
But Julius, you'd agree that, for instance, in academia, where, you're in the University of Ghana as a student, you know that the lecturers get better with time and with all the expertise that they gather by 60, they might have just gotten to the point where they are able to, nuance the intricacies of their various courses. And you're asking them to go. The universities say that, we need this expertise. That's actually why we give them extra contracts. But we can't continue to bear the cost of putting lecturers on extra contracts. I mean, that should be fair for somebody who's a student.
We already have such special categories. If you go to Kolebu campus, for example, you see very old lecturers over there, and the reasons are clear. Medical expertise are something that we need people with more experience to do that. It's not something we should go ahead and generalize in the entire public service, whereby we, amend Article 99, 1 and 2 of the Constitution just to make everybody to be able to stay beyond 70. In fact, the Constitution even says in Article 1992 that anybody can retire after attaining 45. We don't see that happening because the same system frustrates the youth such that by the time they get to the service or by the time they start working, they are already old, advanced in age. The system frustrates them so much. So instead of us working on removing that system where people get into service at a very old age and have to stay and none are able to retire after 45, we should work on getting our youth into the services.
I'll come back to you. Julius makes a very important point about the sort of choking that we have in the public sector. But I mean, at this end of the conversation, Michael doesn't seem to agree with that. Michael, you think that we should allow them to continue being in service up until 65?
Yes, I think it's very important. That's why I partly agree with the Honourable Member of Parliament that definitely we need these individuals who may have accumulated enough knowledge over the years. Now, at the tail end of their service usually is the sweetest in terms of the level of expertise they may have gathered. It is at that point where some people get international recognition. I mean, if you could come to the University of Ghana campus here and talk about our lecturers who are old enough, if you go to Noguchi now, see it's COVID-19 has given the opportunity. Do we ask all of them if they turn 60 this year that they should go home? No, I think that rather we could be looking at the opportunities or different ways that we could also engage them. So I agree with him on the point of trying to have them still in service, but looking at it from the point of what Julius was talking about is how do we also find employment for younger people? Because when people go on retirement, that is when the spaces become available also for people to move up, then the bottom ranks become empty, then younger people like ourselves will get into the work.
Of course, there's a suggestion that instead of making it a wholesale, mandatory retirement at 65, you could keep it at 65 and mandatory, but at 60, people could voluntarily go on retirement and still get all the benefits that they would have gotten if they continue to be in service, given reasons like health conditions and so on and so forth.
Well, Mano, then again, that's what I'm saying, that I prefer that we actually go that way. So that, and looking at Ghana as young as we are as a country, we need to hone on these individuals' expertise just so that we could grow the country. Some of these people are coming from times when none of us were available. And when people are on retirement, they begin to forget about all of these things that they used to do. So rather have a better way of engaging. Maybe, like he's saying, not putting them on the payroll of the various institutions, but on the pension fund, which may help in that so that the burden leaves.
The pension fund is already, stressed and strained. Can I continue?
I already pay for pension all through my life. So if it's time for me to reap and you tell me it's already strained, then I'm wondering why they should have asked me to put the money in my private account so that I dish out the money as and when I prefer it. But you see, Mano, we have to look at this systematically so that we are not only trying to keep more people in because of the expertise that they have, but we should be looking at creation of job.
I'll come to that, and that seems to be the solution that all of us agreed before we went on air. But let me speak to Vanessa. Now, Vanessa, there's a conversation about sharing and passing on experience so that greenhorns who just enter the field can learn from older folks who are 60 and even beyond that. So, I mean, a suggestion of rationing. So the older folks come to work 2 days in a week, and then the younger folks who are just entering will still get their jobs, but will do their job, maybe 3 days or half of what the older people would have been doing.
Thank you, Mano. For me, I think the solution may be simple. What is the solution? I think that at the age, if they are thinking of actually moving it to 65, and indeed they move it, I feel that at the age of 60, they should have a lot of mentees around them. You understand? So if you're going to, if the position is not a political appointment, with that one you may never know because election determines who gets what, right? But if it is just public service, how about you have people whom you feel you're going to hand over to? How about you have them around you? You have them follow you around. You have them do the work that you feel that you're supposed to do. Because that is the only way we can actually transfer the skills from one generation to the other. But we don't have it around like that. If we are, let's say we're in the University of Ghana, and let's say I work with in the registrar's office, right? And he's about to go on retirement, and probably I know that he's going to hand over to me. At the age of 60, the registrars will have me around him all the time so that I get to learn the skill that he has already acquired in those long couple of years. Because if you don't do that, now when the new person comes, we now have to give him the space to learn on the job, which actually affects us. And that's what has been affecting us over the years from now. Yeah.
Great. You make, and Mama, you're hearing the, the arguments that are coming through. I just want to take a quick round of suggestions from them. Well, she says mentorship and training of subordinates can be the way that we phase out older employees and allow younger and fresher energies to enter the space. But beyond that, Michael, in your own estimation, possibly 30 seconds, what do you think should be the best solution to keeping the quality of human resource in our various institutions, and yet again make sure that there's not so much of high unemployment within the space?
So I'll go with what Vanessa is saying, that yes, we have to create the mentee-mentor relationship again, but not just that. We have to create additional space within the already existing infrastructure that we have, so that we get to have more people also. Some people also come with fresh ideas and not make it look as if the other people are the ones who have better ideas. Then also we have to look at the documentation of information on the roles that people do. I think that what we lack here, yes. So then that even when somebody's even gone and we don't get an opportunity to have a mentee or a mentor relationship, I get to read about the things the person had done. Yes, personally, I could do that, yeah.
Great. So institutional memory, the employing archival systems and so on. Well, you said mentorship. That's all?
Yeah, I feel that apart from mentorship, there should be other means or ways. For example, I feel that we as human beings should be able to allow, when some people really get comfortable in a particular position, they don't even want to pass on. That whole selfish behavior, excuse me to say, should be stopped, because we should actually be thinking about continuity, grooming people to continue where we left off. And I think if we do that, so many things will change. Yeah.
So many things will change. Continuity. I'll come to you briefly and then I'll end with Julius. How do we solve this problem?
Yeah, so for me, I think that we should make it mandatory, and at a certain age, if the Constitution can staple that at a certain age, the person should be attached. We should have, like Vanessa said, the mentor and then mentee relationship, so that we know that by 60 years that the person is going, we have somebody he or she has trained to take over, so that the skills can pass on. I think that should be the best way to go.
Great. So let's not at all consider the Honorable Mama Yaga's proposal to review it. He says that the folks who are in the service who are going older have more to offer. They may get more money if they are still in active service to actually look after their kids who are in school and so on. That's a point that he makes. Still doesn't suffice for you. What will suffice for you?
How about there are kids who are just about to leave, like myself? By the end of this year, I'm about to leave. And then there's no space for me because the gray ones are still there. We have enough expertise and human resources in the youthful energies that we can infuse into the systems. Let's create space and infuse them into the systems to work. The fresh graduate student can do that. If you take services like the immigration service, the police service and all that, you want to maintain people above 60? We cannot do that. We should infuse our students into the system. They should be more focused on the youth. And I believe he started that when he advocated for us last 2 weeks or so. But he should be a bit consistent with that.
Great. That's Julius ending the conversation that we're having here. So I don't think that it's even a matter of ending the conversation. It's only just starting about whether or not it is feasible and even a tenable proposition from the Honorable Mahama Ayariga on, moving up the age limit for retirement from 60 to 65. You've heard them. Train more people, create more space, and allow the old people to retire. That's what you are hearing from the youthful University of Ghana. Back to you, Mama V.
I know, and I love the submissions, the alternatives that they bring to this conversation. Really, really cool. Thank you, Manuel Roving from the University of Ghana campus on this matter of extension of retirement, the compulsory retirement age of 60. From Legon, we go to